My fiancé texted, "I'm staying at my ex's for a few days to clear my head." "Don't make it weird." I replied, "Take all the time you need." Then sent her bags to her mom's and disconnected her phone line, which I paid for. 4 days later, she showed up to our building with her bags. The doorman told her she didn't live there anymore. She's been calling me from her mom's phone begging me to just talk. I always thought I'd be the last guy to write one of these posts. Guess life has a way of surprising you? 2 weeks ago, my fiancée Melody sent me a text that changed everything. "I'm staying at Dominic's for a few days to clear my head." Don't make it weird. Dominic, her ex from college, the one she assured me was ancient history when I found their text conversations, 6 months into our relationship. The one who still commented on every single one of her Instagram posts, the one who coincidentally showed up at the same industry conference as her last year. I stared at that message for a full 5 minutes. 3 years together, engaged for 8 months, wedding venue deposits paid, and she was clearing her head at her ex's place. I replied with just 5 words: "Take all the time you need." Then I got to work. First thing to understand, I'm a systems analyst. My job is identifying vulnerabilities, planning for contingencies, and implementing solutions. I don't do emotional outbursts. I do strategic responses. Second thing, we weren't just romantically entangled. We were financially and logistically intertwined in ways Melody had apparently never fully considered. Within 24 hours, I had contacted our building management to remove her from the authorized residence list. The lease was in my name. She'd never gotten around to signing the addendum despite living there for nearly 2 years. 2. Suspended her access fob to the building's gym, pool, and parking garage, all under my membership. 3. Canceled the additional line on my phone plan, her phone, which I had been paying for since hers got damaged 6 months ago. 4. Transferred her portion of our joint savings back to her personal account. We had maintained separate personal accounts alongside our joint one for exactly this kind of contingency. 5. Packed her personal belongings, clothes, jewelry, makeup, electronics that were exclusively hers and had them couriered to her mother's house with a simple note: "These belong to Melody. Please ensure she receives them." 6. Notified our wedding venue, photographer, caterer, and other vendors of a postponement. They all had cancellation clauses that I had insisted on. Another system analyst habit: I didn't rage, didn't send accusatory texts, didn't blow up her phone, demanding explanations, just methodically disconnected our lives. Her mother called the next day confused. "Melody's things just arrived. Here, is everything okay?" Melody decided to stay at her ex-boyfriend's place to clear her head. I explained calmly, "I'm helping her clear it further by giving her space. She can reach me through you if needed, since her phone might not be working." Silence. Then, she did what? Apparently, Melody hadn't informed her family about this little arrangement. Interesting. 4 days later, as I was working from home, I got a call from the building's doorman. "Marcus, sir, there's a Melody Winters here insisting she lives in your unit. She's not on the resident list anymore and her access card isn't working. Protocol is to check with the unit holder." "Thank you, Marcus. Ms. Winters no longer resides here. Please do not allow her up." "Understood, sir." 20 minutes later, my work phone started ringing calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I let them go to voicemail. The first one was Melody, voice cracking. "What the hell, James? I came home and they wouldn't let me in. My tea doesn't work and my phone's disconnected. Call me back immediately." I didn't. The second voicemail: "This isn't funny anymore. Where's all my stuff? Why can't I get into our apartment?" The third from her mother's number: "James, please, I made a mistake. Can we please just talk about this?" I didn't. "It wasn't what you think. Please call me back." I finished my workday, went to the gym in our building, the membership she no longer had access to, and made myself a quiet dinner. Then I sent one text to her mother's phone. "Melody, I'm acknowledging receipt of your calls. To be perfectly clear, there is no our apartment. The lease has only my name on it. There is no our phone plan. I canceled the additional line I was paying for. There is no our wedding. I've postponed everything. You chose to stay with your ex to clear your head. Consider it cleared along with your belongings, which were delivered to your mother's house 4 days ago. If there are items missing, provide a list and I'll check if they're here. That opened the floodgates, calls from her friends, her sister, eventually her father, a man I respected who sounded exhausted. James, can I come by tomorrow to talk? Just me? I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop instead. When we sat down, he looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite place. Melody claims you overreacted. He began, says she was just friends with this dominant guy and needed space to think about the wedding. I nodded, then placed my phone on the table between us. I don't typically record conversations, but I started keeping receipts when things felt off. I played the audio from 3 weeks earlier. Melody on a call she thought I couldn't hear. I don't know. Dom. Yes, we're still engaged. No, I haven't told him yet. It's complicated. I need more time. The wedding's already paid for. I'll figure it out. Her father's face fell. There's more I said, but I think that covers the basics. He rubbed his eyes. Her mother and I raised her better than this. I believe that too. We sat in silence for a moment before he spoke again. What happens now? Now? Nothing. It's done. The relationship ended the moment she decided to stay with her ex. Everything else was just paperwork. It's been 10 days since that coffee meeting. In that time, Melody's narrative has evolved dramatically. First version, she just needed space. I maliciously locked her out and stole her things. Second version, she was confused about the wedding. Dominic was just a friend offering perspective. Third version, I was controlling and suspicious. She turned to an old friend for support. Current version, she made one mistake and I'm punishing her disproportionately. None acknowledged the phone conversation I recorded. The fact that she took an overnight bag to her ex's or that she didn't call me once during those 4 days until she found herself locked out. The final twist came yesterday. Dominic's girlfriend? Yes, apparently he has one. Sent me a message on Instagram. He had told her he was helping a friend through pre-wedding jitters. She found texts on his phone suggesting considerably more than friendly support. Now she's out of his apartment too. So here we are, two women who thought they were in committed relationships, both locked out of apartments they never put their names on, both discovering what happens when you build your living situation on assumptions rather than agreements. I've blocked Melody everywhere except email, which I've filtered to a folder I check. Once weekly, her things remain with her mother. The wedding deposits are mostly refundable, and I'll return her portion once everything's settled. Am I cold for handling it this way? Maybe. But you know what's colder? Texting your fiancé that you're staying at your ex's place, like you're announcing a trip to the grocery store. Some people need dramatic confrontations and tearful closure conversations. I just need clean systems and clear boundaries. She sent a text, I took it at face value. End of story. Update, 3 weeks later. The ring situation. Yes, I got it back indirectly after her father and I had coffee. He returned to their family home and apparently had a long conversation with Melody and her mother. The next day, a small package arrived by courier containing the engagement ring, which belonged to my grandmother, and a handwritten note from her father simply saying, "This should be returned to your family." Class act that man. Legal questions. Several people warned me about tenant rights. Since Melody had lived in the apartment for nearly 2 years, I'd already consulted with a lawyer before making any moves. In our state, without her name on the lease and without proof of paying rent directly to the landlord, her legal claim was minimal. Legal. Still, I documented everything and kept all text exchanges in case it became an issue. It hasn't. The recording. A few commented that recording her call might be illegal depending on state. To clarify, our apartment has thin walls and I overheard her conversation from the hallway when I came home early from a work event. I made a note of what was said immediately afterward. Habit from my job, documenting system vulnerabilities, not an actual audio recording, just my detailed notes of what I heard. Sorry for the confusion. Melody's living situation. According to mutual friends who have mostly sided with me after learning the full story, she's still at her parents' house. Dominic apparently tried to reconcile with his girlfriend rather than offer Melody a place to stay. Interesting. How quickly priorities change when consequences appear. Wedding fallout. The venue was surprisingly understanding. Apparently, they've seen this scenario before. Most vendors return deposits minus reasonable administrative fees. I've calculated Melody's portion of these refunds and will transfer the amount to her personal account. Once all refunds have processed, business is business, the most unexpected development. Melody's younger sister reached out to apologize for her initial angry calls. Said after learning everything, she was embarrassed by her sister's behavior and wanted me to know not everyone in their family condones what happened. We had a good relationship. I appreciated the gesture. Many have asked if I've spoken directly to Melody since everything went down. The answer is no. Her weekly emails have evolved from angry. You had no right to bargaining. We can work through this to reflective. I understand why you're hurt to apologetic. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I read them but haven't responded. What would be the point? Her most recent message included. I never actually did anything with Dominic. I just needed to figure out if what we had was real or if I still had feelings for him. Even if that's true and I have my doubts who text their fiancé that they're staying at an ex's place to clear their head, that alone was the deal breaker. The rest was just executing the necessary system updates after a critical failure. Just logged in to find hundreds of new comments and messages. Thanks for the overwhelming support. A few clarifications to those calling me cold or robotic. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Melody showed me exactly who she was with that text. Everything after was just processing the information efficiently, on whether I ever suspected before. There were small indicators, her password protected, second Instagram account. I glimpsed once unexplained gaps in her whereabouts, the way her expression changed when his name came up. But nothing concrete until that overheard call 3 weeks before her text. I'm not naturally suspicious, I'm naturally observant. Different thing regarding her belongings. I've been accused of stealing or holding hostage her things to be crystal clear, everything identifiably. Hers was packed, carefully inventoried, and delivered to her family home. Shared items and gifts remain where they are. She's welcome to provide a list of anything she believes is missing, and I'll address each item reasonably for those asking why I didn't fight for the relationship. What exactly would I be fighting for? The privilege of wondering where my wife is whenever she needs to clear her head. A lifetime of checking her phone when she's in the shower. That's not a relationship. That's surveillance. Several people have messaged asking if I regret throwing away years over one mistake. But it wasn't one mistake. The mistake was sending the text. The decision was choosing to go to her ex's place. The betrayal was whatever happened there. The character flaw was thinking this was somehow acceptable behavior in an engagement. I don't view this as revenge. I view it as a rational response to new information. System analysts don't do revenge. We do solutions.